Hi, everybody. If you don't recognize my voice or my face, you obviously didn't see any of my Booktubeathon videos, but I'm McGann, the crazy lady that runs the Fangirl. Now, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, I released the video on the Princess and the Frog and how Tiana's wish worked out and the voodoo curse and the extra buyer who came in to buy the old sugar mill away from Tiana. And I had so much fun with that theory that I was like, oh my gosh, I want to make a sequel connecting the Princess and the Frog to Peter Pan, because when Ray passes away, he creates that second star to the right imagery up in the sky. But then I came across a theory video that not only connected Princess and the Frog and Peter Pan, but they also added in Pinocchio and the Disney Fairies movies. And I was like, oh my god, I love this so much. There's no way I'm going to come up with anything that I like better. So I'm just going to reach out and see if this person will collab with me. And she said yes! So today in this video, I have with me not the fangirl, because sorry, that's my title, but the resident fangirl of Network 1901, Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon McCarter from Network 1901. I am their resident fangirl.
And I'm going to let her talk in just a second, but I love her to death because she's very high energy. She talks with her hands like I do, and she's got some really cool ideas. So I'm going to ask her some questions about her stuff. So Shannon, without making you go over every little detail over again in this video, can you give everybody that's listening a gist of how your theory went?
Yeah, so this theory was kind of born from this pin that I saw on Pinterest connecting Princess and the Frog to the Lion King, with that whole scene of Timon telling Pumbaa that the stars are actually fireflies that got stuck in that big bluish black thing, pretty much making the entire ending of Princess and the Frog a big Easter egg back to that, because we do see Ray die and become a star up in the sky. But I was really interested to see just how deep this theory goes, because to me it always looked like the joining of Ray and Evangeline created the second star to the right, which was the gateway to Neverland. But the timeline didn't really work out for me, so the way I see it is that the biggest, brightest star in the sky has always been the gateway to Neverland, and it's the fairies that live there. And the fairies answer the dreams and the wishes of all of us dreamers out there. We see that with Geppetto wishing for his son to become a real boy. We see that with Wendy wishing that she could go to a place to never grow old. And we see that with Ray, who really just wanted to live out his dream of being with Evangeline, the prettiest firefly who ever did glow.
Now, I really, really love that you brought the fairies in as part of like the wish granters for the wishing star. So I'm really interested on your take of the blue fairy from Pinocchio, since she's largely a mysterious figure. I know you mentioned that the blue fairy might have been a fairy that came from Neverland. So would you consider her to be like a classification of fairy that the Disney fairy movies just never brought up, like a wishing fairy? Or, well, I guess I don't really have an or, but I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on the blue fairy.
So I was one of the kids that always grew up with that Disney Fairies game that you could play, where you just like flew into the world of Pixie Hollow and you could create your own fairy and all that kind of fun stuff. And I remember when they introduced new types of talents, because you used to only be able to be like a water fairy or an animal fairy, garden fairy, or light fairy, and that was it. And then suddenly you could become a tinker, then you could become a Sparrow Man, and then in the movies we started exploring that a lot further. And so I really like this idea of the blue fairy maybe being a wishing fairy. After all, there are glacier fairies, there are frost fairies, there are fast flying fairies, there's all kinds of them. And I really think that if we went deeper into the winter woods, that's where we might find some more wishing fairies, like our mysterious blue fairy, or as she could be known, Evangeline.
Okay, next question. The Disney Fairy franchise never really gets around to showing Tinkerbell and Peter Pan taking off together, but looking at your theory, since you have the awesome point that Tinkerbell may have been the one that heard and was drawn in by Wendy's wish, I'm curious if you feel like the Disney Fairy movies are really canon for your theory, and if so, what do you think about the type of fairy that Tinkerbell is? Like, do you think she managed to change roles into something else when she joined with Peter Pan? Or is she still the Tinker Fairy in your opinion?
Yeah, I 100% consider the Tinkerbell movies to be canon with the Peter Pan universe, mostly because they were starting to weave that story in there, and I think they got lost a little bit. I'm not sure which movie exactly it was, but it was when Tinkerbell returned that music box to somebody who I believe was Wendy, or it might have been Wendy's mother. It's been a while since I've seen those movies. But yeah, I 100% consider them as canon, and I've always wanted for like the last movie in that franchise to be Tinkerbell finding Peter Pan. And I did sort of think about it when I was crafting this theory that maybe Tinkerbell saw him and saw that he was longing for a life other than his own, and that he needed somebody, he needed a place to go, and that maybe she helped him. I don't know if that would change her talent to a wishing fairy, if we are considering wishing fairies to be a thing, which I now totally think that they are, but I also do think that she's still a tinker fairy, because as we see in Peter Pan, she's still fascinated with human things a little bit. We mostly just see her as this like sassy little thing or whatever, so I do think her personality might change a little bit. That could just be her being older or being separated from her friends. Maybe something happens to make her estranged from her friends, but I do think she still has that tinkering aspect in her, as that will always be her innate quality. Kind of like in Harry Potter, where it's like, once a Ravenclaw, always a Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw bride. If that made any sense.
Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. And yes, Ravenclaw pride, like virtual high five from across maybe the country, the world, I don't know. I know you say in your video that Peter Pan and the Princess and the Frog don't really sync up chronologically, and I tend to agree with you there, but I also really like the idea of Ray creating the second star from the right imagery at the end of Princess and the Frog. Since Neverland does have this wibbly wobbly timey-wimey thing going on, if the second star to the right is the gateway to Neverland, could that mean that the stars creating the gateway also have wonky rules in the space-time continuum, which could maybe reconcile the timeline difference between the Princess and the Frog and Peter Pan, if I'm making any sense here?
Yeah, you're totally making sense, because everything about that is totally wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey. We really need like a machine that goes ding when there's stuff so we know if it's all working out, but I've always loved that imagery too, so much so that like I really want like a second star to the right tattoo, because I just think it was so beautiful. When I saw that in the movie, it made me so happy, because I am obsessed with all things Peter Pan, so this just like really needed to be a thing. But I was like, Peter Pan's in the 1910s, he's obviously like already been there, he already knew about the second star to the right, and then Princess of the Frog's not till the 1920s, so it is kind of weird. But if you take into account that maybe something weird and like wonky is going on up there, then I could definitely see this happening, then some kind of weird like wrinkle in time tesseract thing happening that kind of goes back and alters history in some kind of way. And I think I just like broke the space-time continuum with my train of thought there, but I would be totally willing to accept that as a fact. I just really want to know more about Neverland. Like that's what we need. Disney Fairies needs to continue so we can learn more about what the heck is going on up here.
So if Geppetto and Wendy wished upon a star and they both had fairies appear to make their wishes come true, then that means a fairy like might have been hiding in the Princess and the Frog right under our noses the entire time, right? What would you think if Mama Odie, who Ray already had a relationship with, was his fairy, but because of the nature of his wish to become a star, she had to wait for him to pass away before granting it?
I had never thought of that before. That is actually really, really interesting, because throughout the entire movie, we know that Mama Odie knows what's up. She totally knows everything that's going on. She knows like all of the pieces in play here. So I totally think that is a possibility. At first, I was kind of wondering if like, well, we don't know too much about fairies in the real world, but in Pinocchio, we do see the blue fairy as like this fully formed figure. Yes, she has her wings and she's got like a pretty wand and she's all sparkly and stuff, but you know, they're magic. So it could entirely be that Mama Odie has disguised herself to kind of blend in a little bit more. And I think that is a really interesting theory. And I also think that she could be working to kind of help out Tiana and Naveen as well, because they have dreams too, and they do get their wishes in the end. They didn't get there the way they thought they were going to, but Mama Odie totally knew what was up and helped them on the right path. So yeah, I think I'm totally on board with that theory.
Okay, now that I've berated you with a bunch of weird, convoluted theoretical questions, I want to just be quiet and give you the floor to say whatever you want to about yourself and Network 1901.
If you want to throw in anything extra, I am obsessed with Star Wars, and I have a creepy, weird obsession with Peter Pan, which is not creepy or weird. I did not say either one of those things. Do not put words in my mouth, but yeah, so it's just a little bit weird. And definitely out of everybody, I am the one who loves to theorize and speculate in Fangirl, and I like going down all the different rabbit holes, whereas like Josh is kind of our more historical one, and then Dale likes to be, you know, not really sure what Dale is, but he's definitely not as like, let's go as deep into this theory as we can possibly go, which is one of my absolute favorite things to do. And if anybody wants to check out anything else from us, you can check us out on our YouTube page. We do 3 different videos a week, and we also do 3 different podcasts a week, which you can find on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, however you listen to your podcast. You can also find all of that on network1901.com, which Josh is working very hard to make nice and new and pretty. And then also on our Instagram, I do Disney Bound every Sunday. It is one of my absolute favorite things to do, and I would love to see some of you guys over there, especially if you've got some Disney Bounds. I really, really love seeing everybody else's Disney Bounds. So you can check us out at Network 1901 or personally at McCarter Shannon.
All right, that is so awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today, Shannon.
Thank you so much for asking me to do this. This is super, super awesome, and just, yeah, this has been super great. Like, I'm fangirling right now, like, can't you tell? But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And I'm going to have the link for her theory in the description below. Please go check it out. Check out Network 1901. They've got some great stuff over there, and just go have fun with it. You know, I mean, I've had so much fun with this collaboration. I can't thank her enough. I love her. I love everything about this video. I hope you guys love it too. And if you do, you're gonna love Network 1901 and especially Shannon's videos. So that's it, guys, and we'll see you in the next theory. Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. We're expanding, so I have to plug our other channels. Total, we have the Fangirl, dealing primarily with movies and shows, Say Halo Goodbye Gaming, and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Links are in the description, and we would love to see you at all 3 channels. Okay, I think that's it. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to like, subscribe, and share this video. We have tons of material across our various channels that you are fully encouraged to go check out. And if somehow you can't get enough of me, please connect with me on Instagram at Say Halo Goodbye or Twitter at _Fanily.